Third time's the charm, literally. This was your third title match. You finally got it done over the weekend. Talk to me about how you're feeling after, having a couple days to let this sink in.
It is. It's very difficult to put into words how satisfying it is to win a world championship. Especially a championship with such history and prestige that this has. Yesterday I was watching the recent interview with Kurt Angle and Chris Van Vliet, and I was thinking, if I believe that Kurt Angle was the very first holder of this incarnation of the championship. So, it's one of those moments where it really hit me, and I was like, wow, this is Kurt Angle's belt, this is AJ Styles' belt, this is Sting's belt, this is Samoa Joe's belt, this is big. It means a lot, and I'm excited and ready for the opportunity to see how far we can take this in 2025. You've seen the packed arenas that we've been running, and 2024 was crazy, but I have a sneaking suspicion 2025 is going to be even bigger.
Yeah. And, there's a little bit of an added bonus because, you kind of brought your name to a different level a couple of years ago. You called Kurt out, you booked yourself into the matches you have said before. So, uh, holding a championship, the same championship that somebody you respect like that, it's got to be a little bit of an added bonus.
Absolutely. I remember Kurt telling me in 2016 he really thought I was going to be a huge star in wrestling, and as you know, it took me a long time to finally to get to TV and to get to this level. And I remember seeing an interview with Kurt where he was sad. He was saying, I really thought Joe Hendry was going to be a big star. And I remember his co-host said, no, no, he's starting to really get over in TNA. And now to have the championship, I would love the opportunity to talk with Kurt, because the last time that we saw each other in person was in Glasgow when he was doing a live tour for Inside the Ropes, and I just got a chance to say hello. And I said, Kurt, I'm thinking of going to TNA, and he thought it was a great idea. And so for me to complete the mission like this, it's very satisfying.
Shout out to Kenny McIntosh, by the way. I don't think you'd have a hard time getting Kurt to pick up your call now. So I'll just say that. But how'd you celebrate? You go out, do anything little extra after the event?
It's I've kind of had similar questions like this before. The truth of the matter is, I would love to give you some outrageous answer about what Joe Hendry did as a championship celebration, but the truth is that this spot is a lot of responsibility, and the work begins immediately.
Mhm.
It's interviews, it's travel, and it's something that I love to do. I love to work. I'm a workaholic, if you will. So all I did was just back at the hotel. Just we were in the lobby with, I had family there. I had some close friends there who were on the roster, and just was able to talk with a lot of the members of the roster who have really helped me get to this point. So it was that was all the celebration I needed. I was very
Yeah.
happy with that.
I'm blanking on who told me this, but I talked to somebody like last year and they were like, I just got like a really big cheeseburger because I was craving a cheeseburger and then I went back to my room. Like that's my favorite answer. Like I'm not like you don't have to go like out to the club or any like, I appreciate the no, I wanted, my cheat meal after my win. Like I appreciate
Well,
that.
I I remember reading Chris Jericho's book, and after he won the Undisputed Championship, he's beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night. He's got both titles, and he tells a story about how he couldn't even get a pizza delivered to the room. And he's like, "I'm the world champ
Mhm.
twice." And he can't get a pizza delivered to the room. So, unfortunately, nowadays we are at the mercy of Uber Eats or whatever service you use.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun to read that in Jericho's book and kind of have similar experiences. But I mean, to be honest, that's something that as people, the fans probably don't really realize is that actually I had more fun out partying and celebrating and whatever when I wasn't getting the work done. And that's the thing. If you want to do this at the top level, I really learned this, that actually life has to become pretty simple. It's about the task at hand. So sorry, folks. Love to give you a more exciting answer, but I got to getting to the titles one thing, keeping it's another.
Yeah, that is something that has been said. A play on that is it's almost as important. Your first defense is almost as important as how you won it. So, uh, I, you probably heard this a lot. Like I mentioned, third time you had a shot at the title. You didn't win it the first two times, and I don't know how much it was, but there was obviously some comments saying, "Oh, TNA is missing out. Like they should have put the belt on Joe," and getting a little too into the weeds maybe. But how did that motivate you? Thinking I want to prove them wrong, or any thoughts when you hear that sort of stuff?
I take the John Cena methodology, which is, you do the absolute best with the situations that you are presented with. That is the approach I've always taken. And, actually in the last couple of years, I've really focused in more on that. It's just delivering the absolute, at the end of the day, my job isn't to dictate to management when I get this title shot or that title shot or who I face. My job is to do the absolute best with what I'm given. And I remember being at Slammiversary and thinking, "Whoa, the fans are ready for this." I was at
Mm,
Bound for Glory thinking, "Whoa, the fans are ready for this." But you know what? They were ready for it at Genesis, and this way, I think the really cool thing about it happening at Genesis is it really, this is, if people want to talk about 15 minutes of fame, I think we're safely into the 16th minute now. This is getting a pretty long 15 minutes. I did one interview the morning after the title win, and it was all over the news. And it just and the we're still getting crazy hits on social media. This is still going, and it's a team effort, and I'm just really enjoying seeing how this all unfolds.
yeah.
So to me, look, if we were in that arena and it was and the reactions weren't there, I'd we'd maybe look at things a different way. But that when the three count happened, when, like I say, no one's ever kicked out of the standing ovation before,
Mhm.
and when Nic did, the reaction in the arena, it gives me goosebumps thinking about the sounds and sights from that arena that night. And looking at that, I think we did something right.
Yeah. And, I think it speaks to how well you've gotten yourself over the past couple of years that people were still on that ride with you. I think it adds to the story too. And in a way, I
Can I
feel
just
like
can I just say what can I
Mhm.
just elaborate on that? I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's quite an important point. Actually, taking three times is very representative of my real life. If you look at all the things that I've done in my life, it's taken me a long time to do them. When I started amateur wrestling, I think I had probably about 6 or 7 attempts at national titles before I finally won one.
Mhm.
I'd been to TNA before in the past, and it only lasted a few months. I'd been other places. Something or other didn't quite work out. I In my life, through all the things that I've done, I never get things the first try. So doing it this way is actually a bit of a snapshot into my life, and I hope it inspires people to realize that when not to be cliche, but when you do get knocked down, you just have to keep going and being relentless and believing in yourself. And if you keep doing the right things you're supposed to be doing, it's going to happen and you're going to get there. And that is who I am. That happened in this way. That is Joe Hendry.
Yeah. And, I was kind of saying like it adds to the story, but in a way, I feel like not that it cheapens what Nick did, but it's like it's not like you're just losing a title match. Like Nic Nemeth is, 20-year veteran, like multi-time world champion. He put a lot of eyes on TNA and was a great champion. So it's not like just, some regular loss. Like you had to fight to get there, you claw to get there.
He's one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots. The guy's unbelievable. He's been doing it at the highest level for decades. He's a phenomenal representative for TNA and the industry. And I can't think of anyone better to face for the championship.
All right. TNA's live this week in San Antonio. It's very exciting for a number of reasons. Obviously, this is going to be your first appearance as the champion. Uh, what can fans expect from this show if they're not used to, you don't see TNA live unless it's a pay-per-view. I forget the last date for the last live Impact broadcast, but this is exciting. This is forward progress for the brand. So how are you feeling going in?
It's huge progress for the brand. Can you imagine that the first time that people see me after winning the championship is going to be on live TV where anything can happen? And as you know, we're in an era in professional wrestling where absolutely anything can happen. And it's even more explosive when it's live. Pro wrestling is at its very best when it's unpredictable and you have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen, but when you add in that element of live TV, I'm telling you now, you better be there in person or you better be watching on TV because expect the unexpected.
Part of the excitement, the TNA NXT partnership was formalized. They just announced earlier this week. You've gone to NXT, you've gotten a chance to put your face out there on live television. It's an opportunity that not a lot of the TNA rosters had. For the most part, it's been you, Jordan, uh, Masha just made an appearance. Are you giving any kind of advice, or are you maybe telling people what to expect, or is this something you want them to experience for themselves for the first time?
Well, as I said, expect the unexpected. It's hard to give people advice on something that you have no idea what is going to be in store, and that's part of the excitement, right? Is we know there's a partnership, but we don't know what's going to happen. The roster doesn't know, and that's super exciting as well. And I didn't know what to expect when I went into TNA, into when TNA crossed over into NXT. But I will say this is, just watching back Genesis, we have such a world class roster. To me, anytime someone has gone from TNA to NXT, I think they've represented the company phenomenally well. So, we have world class professionals, and look, professional wrestling is a difficult game. I don't know if people realize how difficult professional wrestling is. So, if you're in TNA, if you're on NXT, if you're on a major company, if you're on television, you're pretty damn good at this. So we're in locker rooms with world class professionals. So whether it's TNA wrestlers crossing over to NXT, NXT wrestlers crossing over to TNA, look, they ain't going to need advice from me. They've been ready for a long time.
It's exciting, but I feel like it's on a different level. Like, I don't think WWE's done this. Like, even and I wasn't getting press releases back then, but like when they did the ECW run-ins or like the NWA stuff in the 90s, like it's literally been that long since WWE welcomed somebody in like this level. So I think it speaks to the work that TNA's been doing over the past couple of years, like, you know, really hitching their wagon to a company like this that's, doing really great work.
Absolutely, it's a super exciting partnership. And look, the business is best when everybody wins, and that's what's awesome about this. Is there's such mutual benefit for this partnership. And when I think about my own journey, in representing TNA in NXT, we had last year we had the most viewed clip on X in all of wrestling. When I made my debut in NXT, I was fortunate enough to win both the TNA and NXT moments of the year. And I was fortunate enough to main event No Mercy. Okay. There's an N64 cartridge in my house with No Mercy on it. And I'm going, oh, what is going on? And that happened before we'd announced a formal multi year partnership. So, to say expect the unexpected sounds like it could be an understatement. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's what's awesome about it. But to me, the sky's the limit and we're all ready for it.
I know you've directly addressed John Cena and your aspirations for a match with him, so I'm not going to ask who do you want to match with or anything like that. But what is the your favorite moment if you have to pick one? If it could be match or moment from his career, because obviously he's on his retirement tour. Which one was was a standout moment or match for you in his career that, it's like your go-to if you want to watch John Cena footage?
The thing that inspires me about John Cena is the courage. Regardless of the audience reaction, the courage to go out there and to authentically be himself. The Rock was the reason I got into the business. And he was just, he's the master on the microphone. So I remember when John Cena and The Rock faced each other, see, it's so rare you get to see someone who can go toe to toe with The Rock on the microphone. Chris Jericho's another one that came to mind, but when John Cena and The Rock were sparring on the microphone, for them to be on the same level was incredible. But the moment that I'm going to pick is actually when John Cena ventured into ECW, because I think a lot of people could have crumbled in that moment, but he took what could have been a negative and just owned that moment, and just that is one of my favorite matches. So I think the way that I've never seen anything like that when John Cena faced Rob Van Dam in ECW. To me, that was a special moment in wrestling, and to me, that was a moment where John Cena really showed his character. And
Yeah.
hey, I have to say, it was it's funny, sometimes history repeats itself. Maybe he might want to wander into another organization for a championship match.
I would very much like to see that.
I think
And
a lot of people would love to see that. I
I,
saw a tweet the other day that had 1 million views just talking about it.
there you go. You're slowly getting closer to that match. But as far as those moments, I'll say that and the Royal Rumble return at MSG where he's just standing there, like those two, I think define who he is when you think about going into hostile territory with ECW and then kind of coming back from the injury, like his resilience. I have mixed feelings. I'm happy to see him back, but I'm sad to see him go. So hopefully, I hope you're on that list by the end of 2025.
Look, I study wrestling intently, and I try and find common threads amongst top talents in the business across all companies. And to me, the common thread is that top talents are truly authentically themselves out there. And to me, those moments that you described, the ones we talked about, that those moments are when he was truly authentically himself, regardless of the audience reaction. And it's inspired me to power forward, regardless of what the reaction is. And for me to have the courage to go out there into the arena and just to give my very best and to just be Joe Hendry. So the more that I've steered into just being me, the more my career has seemed to ascend. So I'm having a great time. We're having a lot of fun, and that's another common thread when you think about when there's been real business booms in different eras in wrestling that were particularly successful. Another common thread is the roster were having fun. And I know we're all having fun with what we're doing. The morale is so high in the TNA locker room. We've got heavyweights in our management team as well, doing great things behind the scenes. We've got an unbelievable roster, and I'm telling you now, 2025 is going to, if you thought 2024 was special, wait till you see 2025. We're so excited. We want to thank the fans. We want to thank our loyal audience who have helped get us to this point, because without you guys, we couldn't be doing this. So we love the fans for their support, and it's going to be an exciting year. So join us for the journey. It starts this Thursday live on Impact.
Exactly. Starts live Thursday. If you're in the area, San Antonio, you can go check it out. If not, watch on TV. I'll be watching from home. Uh, Looking forward to the first championship appearance and the live show. It's been fun as always. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, my friend.